You've bought a beautiful home in Longboat Key, condo, single family home, whatever, but today is finally closing day. Okay, so what happens on closing day? You sign a couple of papers, you grab the keys, you're good to go. No, definitely not. Closing day is much more complicated than that. Well, that is if you do closing day really the right way. Okay, here's how closing day works for my clients. First of all, as a buyer, we want to make sure that we get all of our funds ready to go and wired in advance of the transaction. I really like to have those funds there 24 hours in advance of closing because sometimes the banks that, two attorneys might use are completely different and it takes time to transfer funds. And you want to be able to grab your keys and get into your new home on closing day. So in order to make sure the funds are available, of course, we always prepare for that in advance. Also, the second thing is I want to have you look at your closing statement in advance. That itemizes all the charges that you are responsible for. Your proration of taxes, for example, how much you owe your attorney, for example. So you want to know exactly what all your fees are and exactly how much money you are going to need. And I want you to have that closing disclosure, if you will, or in Florida, we call it the ALTA statement. And I want to have you look at that and review that carefully about 3 days in advance of closing so that you are really prepared and have had time to look at things before you're at the table in front of the attorney making the signatures happen. Okay, so that's all leading up to closing day. Now, what we'll do is we'll do a walkthrough on closing of your new property. So that can happen either the day before closing or it can happen the day of closing. That really depends on your schedule. What I like to do is go into your, new home or your new condo and go room by room in a very organized way to make sure that everything is as we thought it should be. So we've already inspected the property. That's probably happened a few weeks ago. And we know what to expect from this home. We know what kind of condition it's in. Now, the people who may have lived there before, they've moved out their furnishings, maybe, maybe not. And we want to make sure that all the floors and walls and everything is in good condition as we would expect. The other thing we want to do in going room by room is a visual inspection, floors and walls, of course, and we also want to check the kitchens and the bathrooms. And we want to make sure that there are no leaks. So that means we are running the faucets, flushing the toilets, running the showers, and making sure that there's no surprise leak. I will tell you, after doing this for years and years and closing on hundreds and hundreds of homes, I frequently find surprises on closing day, but you've got to know where to look for them. And in most cases, I can tell you, it's usually behind the toilet where we always seem to find a leak. I don't know, it just happens that way. So we're going to go room by room, checking the condition of the property, making sure that everything is as it should be. Now, if we find something that is not in line with what we think, not usual and normal wear and tear for this property since the last time we've seen it, like for example, a new leak that's, popped up behind the toilet, for example, who pays for that and what happens? Well, that is a big question, and it's one of the most important reasons why you do a walkthrough on closing day with your real estate advisor. So it is my job to figure out how, of course, we can get the seller to cover the cost of that because it's really the onus is on them to deliver a property to you in the condition to which you expect. Now, it really depends on the transaction, what has happened over the course of the last several weeks, and what we can negotiate as a solution. So we can't just pull a number out of the air that we think, can work to fix a problem. We've got to go on using estimates or, past experience, something that we can prove so that we can protect you as the buyer. So after we go all through the property and we feel satisfied or we've negotiated any problems that we may have found, if it's a single family home, we're not just going to do the inside, we're also going to do the entire outside and just for a visual inspection. Okay, so now I would say we've done our visual inspection inside and outside, and now is the time to go to the attorney's office and sign all the paperwork. There should be no surprises. If the home has an HOA, which on Longboat Key, pretty much every home has an HOA here, you would have already read all the documents related to the HOA. And now it's just time to finish off the transaction. You are going to wait until we for sure have everything funded while you may take the keys, but before you enter back into the home. Because once you enter the home, if something happens, it's on you. So you want to make sure that the funds are cleared, that you are the exact owner. If, say for this crazy example, the home burns down between the time you actually own it, the time you sign the papers, well then that's going to be the problem of the seller, not your problem. So we wait until everything is clear and you are fully set and ready to enter back into the home. And congratulations, you've just bought a brand new home on Longboat Key. My name is Judy Mitchell. I'm with Premier Sotheby's International Realty. I live and work right here on Longboat Key, and my job is to protect you as a buyer when I represent you on the buy side. If you're a seller, that's a different video. Stay tuned to this channel to find more videos about that. But if you're looking to buy on Longboat Key, let's talk about the best way to get you the best property at the best price and to protect you every step of the way.